The neighbor swears that she and her 2 children heard a scream shortly before they joined the search for a now missing Summer Wells.
It's there, but you want to forget.
On the watch and hypervigilant. That's how Jodisue-Brown was the very day Summer Wells went missing.
There was no TV, no noise at all.
Jodisue was in her cabin with her teenage kids, 19 and 14, waiting for anything.
We were kind of hyper alert because of property things that had happened the day before. So we were listening for noise. Everything was kind of quiet.
The sale brought a plethora of people to their door, confused about which piece of land was for sale, leading to a dispute of property lines.
While we were out at one point doing survey lines, and there was a flash of a car that went up Candace and Donnie's driveway. Something about it struck me wrong.
She and her family next heard a truck door slamming and dismissed it as their neighbors. The next sound was harder to justify. About an hour and a half before Summer is thought to go missing, Jodisue, her son, and her daughter heard something far more suspicious. A scream.
Stopped all 3 of us cold.
Her daughter was the first to go to the cabin door. Then all 3 were there, listening still.
We heard just this kind of shrill, almost animalistic scream.
Animalistic, but not an animal.
Knew it was, wrong. It wasn't a dog, it wasn't an animal.
That vigilance kicking into overdrive. Jodisue and her son went out to look for the source of the scream.
My son and I decided to go out, look and see what we could see. We went back onto the bank, didn't see anything, didn't hear anything.
They went on with their evening. The kids returned to being kids.
Hi, my name is Dee, and you're watching Dee True Crime Commentary. The kids returned to being kids, Ansley said. Well, what mode did they get in that they weren't kids? Her kid is an adult man and was, on June 15, 2021, an adult man. He wasn't a child old enough to join the United States service. Why has Jodisue protected her son so fiercely? Why? What reason did she have? Because he was guilty of doing something wrong? It was her and her son. They took Summer up the creek to their house, and Jodisue got back in the creek to cover up the footprints in the creek. It wasn't a coincidence. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't an autofill correction. He was in the creek with Jodisue. He took Summer up the creek to their house where the girl was waiting. There was tens of thousands of dollars on the line. Tens of thousands. 100,000? 80,000? Jodisue didn't hardly get any. She just got a little bit. Andy got the hunk. And the money they got for Summer isn't enough for him. Trying to get out and lure kids with candy to get more kids so he can sell them. It's a never-ending cycle with these people. It's not the first time either. I suspect they helped Don and Candace get rid of 2 more girls that Candace had before Summer. And those 2 they didn't even have to report because they never were recorded as being born even. Jodisue-Brown, you're going down. If it's the last breath I ever take, I'm going to use it to put your ass in jail. In prison where you belong. You and Andy and Don and Candace for raising Summer for 5 years so she could be sold. Y'all all knew what was happening since the day she was born. And try to sue me for telling the truth. Her son is a suspect in the Summer Wells case. Why was Jodisue living in a shed? Why was Jodisue and her children living in a shed at 125? Biding time till it was time for Summer, that's why. Sullivan County, the best thing y'all could do is get Jodisue off the streets for running her mouth and threatening people on YouTube. Somebody's going to flip it on her, I'm afraid. I read a lot of comments in this case, but this has got to be the best one I ever read. In 4 years and almost 5 months, Miss Sherry Collins. It's about money to her from the very beginning. Why? did she bring her domestic abuse into Summer Wells' missing case in the first place? That wasn't even on my channel, y'all. That was on McBro's channel. But that's got to be the best comment and the best question I ever read about this case. This is a sorry lot of life. They don't even care about life. They will when they start to miss the things that they'll miss. Just like Diddy. Diddy in prison. Couldn't stand it once he got there. And Little won't have anybody but her grandparents.